Over the last few months, we've set up a number of aquariums out here in the aquarium gallery, and every time I set up a new aquarium, I state that this is now my new favorite aquarium. Now that we've had them set up for quite a while now though, what is my favorite fish? And this one's kind of controversial for me, and even talk about top 5, simply because there's so many more fish coming out here soon. A lot of these tanks are getting additional fish added to them, and will be basically more than doubling the amount of fish out here soon. But what I'm trying to get at is it almost depends on the time of day or the day of the week that it is, that some of the fish are some of my favorites for different reasons. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about what my top 5 favorite fish are in the gallery right now. I'll show you what they are and why they're my favorite right now. Let's start off with these African cichlids up here. Now, these guys are always a crowd pleaser, extremely active, very colorful, and since I have all males, we don't really have any aggression. I enjoy them for a number of reasons, mainly because they're so simple to care for, yet look so visually appealing. These guys are certainly a crowd pleaser. For example, a lot of people struggle with feeding their fish, what they should give them, and so forth. But what I find with these guys is, regardless of what I offer them, they just go nuts for the food, which is always a plus. It's always great to have, healthy fish that are vigorously eating and, attacking the food. There is a couple of fish in here with a little bit of tattered fins, but, that's going to happen on almost any aquarium with cichlids. There's always going to be somebody's that is the boss, but for the most part, these guys are all in perfect shape. I'm really enjoying them, and one of my favorite things to do is actually feed them. They're certainly an aggressive feeder, and to be honest with you, they'll eat just about any food that I offer them. And what I give them is just pelletized foods directed towards African cichlids. I don't feed any specific brand or type. I mix it up and give them something that will promote color. There's a bit of spirulina in the diet, just something well-rounded. Now, I don't really have an order of the favorites. Of course, we started with the Africans because they are right there. But I do have a number 1 favorite that we're going to talk about at the end. But for now, let's move on to the next favorite, and this one's kind of easy. Now, I gotta give Frank a shout out, but I'll be entirely honest with you guys. I actually don't like him in this aquarium because I don't have the chance to interact with him, and he's such a personable little fish. The Beischer's in there somewhere, by the way. He's still in there, he's still okay. But, for Frank, he needs a personal aquarium. He needs his own time with me, and I really can't express how excited I am to get him back to the way he was, and the reason why everybody loves him in the first place, which is the fact that he's just such a fun and personable fish. These days though, I don't know if he's looking to bite me or he wants to play. Unfortunately, I'm not going to find out till we get him in a new aquarium, but I do know if I didn't give Frank a shout out or give him a little bit of show on the camera here, you guys are going to start a riot. My next favorite fish out here in the gallery is my Waru tank. In fact, this is one of my favorite aquariums, period. But the Waru, of course, if you've watched some of my past videos and I've kind of explained why I got them, what they mean to this channel and so forth, you will truly understand. But I really love this tank. Especially the Waru, who are kind of hiding right now because I just shined some lights on them and, jumped down here. But, this is one of my favorite tanks for a couple of reasons. One, it's one of the most natural, in my opinion. The background by Aqua Decor is absolutely stunning and truly complements the real wood out front. And, to be entirely honest, when people come over, like friends and family, and they see these aquariums and see these backgrounds, for example, they have no clue that they're not real. That's, the camera's never going to show that, but, it's absolutely stunning. And the Waru, I actually wanted to do something for you guys for the first time on camera, and the first time for me in about 10 or 12 years, which is feed these guys a specific food that I used to love feeding them. We'll get to that in a minute, but these guys are my favorite fish right now, or one of my top 5 favorite fish in the aquarium gallery right now, simply because they have such a strong meaning to me, but also because the metamorphosis that they go through in terms of their color changing and patterns. Not to mention that, well, now that I've been sitting here for a couple of minutes, they're extremely personable and friendly in the tank, which is kind of rare for Waru at this size. They tend to hide a lot. but these guys are out a whole lot. Of course, when the lights aren't on, they're far more active and whatnot, but this tank alone, in my opinion, again, is, you know, one of the more natural looking tanks. I still think that the Waru have a long ways to grow. They're gonna get to like 10 inches or so. So we'll only be able to keep maybe 4 to 6 in here, maybe just a pair with a ton of tetras or something like that. I'd love to show you guys the breeding process of the Waru. Before I was on YouTube, I've bred Waru, and it's absolutely amazing to watch. But let's feed them something I haven't fed them in a very long time. And I'll admit right now, it's probably the reason I wanted to make this video. I just wanted to feed them this, show you guys it, and I had to come up with a reason why I'm making this video in the first place. So let's talk about top 5. Okay, so these guys are pretty much well camouflaged. If you could see them, they're in behind the wood right now. Most of the time, they're out with the tetras. These tetras acting as a dither fish, making sure they seem like everything's okay in the aquarium. However, being a cichlid, you would assume that they would have like a high protein diet, and you know, they're kind of in the mid spectrum. You would feed them like you would Africans or even Tropheus, for example. You would want to feed them a vegetable type diet, and one of their favorite meals, and this is going to be so corny to so many people, but I love feeding it to them, is romaine lettuce. So back when I had a bunch of adults, they would go absolutely nuts for this. And don't be confused, Waru still have a nice set of teeth on them as they get bigger. They might be a little too small to eat this right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and drop this in the tank and just kind of set it on the lid here. And we'll come back to it in a little bit and see what they've done. Okay, so I know that a lot of you are probably thinking the discus has to be one of my favorite fish in the aquarium gallery right now. And in my top 5, they're simply not. In fact, they kind of reminded me why I got out of them. At this size, they're a little bit shy. They rarely come out. They can be difficult and finicky to feed. They're sensitive to water quality. They're just a difficult all-around fish to keep if you're not used to keeping them. But you know what I really like? The angelfish right now are really doing it for me. These guys are such an amazing contrast with this aquarium, and you know, I kind of planned them out to have a dark scape tank to contrast with their color, but I didn't realize how good it was truly going to look. With that said, at nighttime when all the lights are off in here, these guys are still glowing. They look like a bunch of floating ghosts inside this aquarium, which is kind of appropriate with Halloween coming up, but these guys are absolutely stunning, and what makes them better is they're not skittish at all. These guys are always out. They never hide, and they'll readily eat. Watch, if I go up here, they know something's coming. You guys hungry? So these guys just get a flake food or, you know, small pellets. Sometimes I'll give them some frozen foods. I like to keep their diet a bit varied, but these guys are such a pleasure to keep. They're so easy to maintain and take care of, and they look absolutely stunning. This is one of the tanks that most people that visit the gallery, friends and family of course, enjoy the most. Now I know a lot of you must have guessed the next favorite fish on the list has got to be the rainbow fish, and if you did, you're absolutely right. These guys have quickly become one of my favorite fish in the aquarium gallery for a number of reasons. One, they signify to me that it's okay to keep little fish in really big tanks. I've always kept really big fish in really big tanks, but you know, this one has been equally rewarding. And since moving this aquarium up against the wall, I'm really enjoying the depth that this aquarium has. Mind you, I have not adjusted or changed the wood at all yet. I still have to make some adjustments. It's kind of just, it's just looking sad, collapsed in place. But you know, overall, these guys are just a pleasure to have. They respond to feeding beautifully, they're coloring up nicely, and again, they still have a ways to go in terms of coloration as well as size. Keep in mind, they might be really narrow right now, but they will grow in depth as well, like their height, and be a much more larger looking fish in here for sure. You know, in time, I think what I could even possibly do is switch out the type of rainbow fish, or potentially just add, you know, maybe 1,000 or even 2,000 cardinal tetras, or, you know, anything in here. It's so much possibilities in here, and I think moving forward that this big tank is certainly going to remain a little fish tank, because I think that it's just absolutely stunning to see how so many small little fish interact and shoal together, or even sometimes school, depending on the species of fish. But these guys are my favorite for, it just feels like they're so in tune with me. Clearly all I am is to them is a meal. They know what I'm doing. The only thing I don't like about them, and the reason why I've been putting off fixing the wood, is because I literally, watch this, I can't put my hand in the aquarium without them eating it. And I don't like the feeling. But so as soon as I drop my hand in there, they'll bite at it. A bunch of them will, but then, you know, they realize, okay, this is a hand and it doesn't taste that great. So they stop. But, you know, these guys are just a blast to have. Everybody loves them. Feeding them is fun. Let's go ahead and feed them. So these guys get a number of foods, in pretty much the same as the angelfish, to be honest with you. So they'll get some tiny, tiny pellets, get a variety of flake foods, and even some frozen foods just to kind of mix it up. But recently, my aquarium box sent me a bunch of food to try out. They're launching a new food, and one of the ones that caught my eye for these guys is the brine shrimp. So this is going to truly help with coloration, and I'm just kind of trying it out, and I actually like that it's a red color, indicating that there's definitely going to be a ton of astaxanthin in there, or however you pronounce that, which is in brine shrimp. So plus it's high in protein. We'll see what happens, but I'll feed them this bag, see if there's any improvements with them or anything like that. But again, these guys are always a ton of fun to feed, and it's so much easier to feed a fish that, you know, will accept and eat anything. So, you know, it's just fun to watch them. So now we move on to the number one fish. I know what some of you guys are thinking. It's got to be this guy, the Asian Arowana, and to be entirely honest with you, absolutely not. Well, it is a pretty fish. It's just too small to be my favorite just yet. I will admit that she's a great eater. She does really well in this aquarium. But I'll admit, I miss Buddy. I miss my big blue base crossback swimming in this tank. And while she will end up being a beautiful fish, and we'll end up adding some UV lights in here eventually to tan her, she's just not up there just yet. So my favorite fish in the aquarium gallery right now, and I gotta be honest, probably always will be, are my freshwater stingrays. I absolutely am so enthusiastic about stingrays that we could argue the fact that I wouldn't have began building large aquariums or even made this channel to what it is today if it wasn't for freshwater stingrays. Now these guys are clearly just, you know, still babies at this size. They're not sexually mature. We have 3 black diamonds as well as a pearl. And I know that they look quite small in this aquarium right now, but again, these guys are gonna grow to be absolute monsters, and eventually we will have to take out this wood. I do wanna add in more fish. Some of the fish that I planned on adding through into here simply didn't work out in terms of availability and being able to get them in the quantity as well as size that I wanted to, but I'm always on the lookout, so stay tuned for additional fish being added to this in the near future. And of course, we can't forget about the little pearl ray over here in the rainbow fish tank, still doing excellent, eating, doing really well, exploring the tank, absolutely loving it, not worried about him at all, or sorry, her at all. Of course, it will be a while before she gets into the bigger tank, but right now, you know, she's doing really good in here, and clearly there's tons of space. But there you have it. That is my top 5 favorite fish in the aquarium gallery as of right now, today. With that said, like I mentioned earlier, the numbers of fish out here are soon to double, and there's already hundreds out here. I should give an honorable mention to the trophius that are actually looking absolutely stunning right now. And there's a few other little fish in here that you guys haven't seen yet. But again, so many more fish will be added shortly. So let's call this part 1 of 50 or something like that, because clearly, you know, on a day-to-day basis, my opinions on what's my favorite and what's not is certainly going to change, but we'll have to see over time. I'd love to know what you guys think were your favorite of the fish that I've shown, or even your favorite aquarium, so let me know in the comments section below. All right, just a quick update on the romaine lettuce situation. I've seen a couple of the Waru up there nipping at it. I don't see any bite marks out of it just yet, but they certainly are exploring it. You know, I just came back over to the aquarium now, so they're not too excited about me being here, but you know, as soon as they discover that they can eat this romaine lettuce, these guys are going to start attacking this like a pack of little piranhas. And the good part about romaine lettuce is, you know, I can leave it in the aquarium overnight. It's not going to rot. You know, it does take quite a while to do that. So we've definitely got plenty of time to work on that. Plus the fact that, you know, it's such an affordable meal for them that, you know, it's just only going to cost me pennies to add in a leaf of romaine lettuce every other day and let them enjoy it. But as you can see, they'll even nip at wood. Anyways, just a quick update on that.